When a police cruiser stopped smack in front of my driveway, I figured maybe the GPS had betrayed them, or some squirrel caused a power outage up the street. Anything but the truth. Here I was, a 67-year-old man, sweeping off his own porch gray in the beard, retired minding my business on a dead-end street. I wasn't ready for the officer to step out, glance at his notepad, and say the single most ridiculous sentence I've ever heard in my life. "Sir, we've received a report that you're trespassing on HOA property." Now picture me holding a broom staring at my own porch, then looking up at this cop, like maybe he's the one who needs directions. There's a big old wooden sign hammered into my lawn that says private property, no HOA, in letters you can read from the moon. But here we were. 1 week prior, I thought I'd escaped HOA nonsense for good. Sold the old place, bought my dream house in a neighborhood so quiet you can hear your own heartbeat, ready to live out my days in peace. And here's an HOA I don't even belong to trying to run me out. And trust me, this was just the opening act. Listen, before I get deep into it, tell me, have you ever had a neighbor so nosy they could pass for the NSA? Let me know in the comments where you're listening from, what time it is. There may be misery really does love company. I'll be straight with you. I didn't always have beef with HOAs. Back in my 40s, I thought HOAs were cute. A bunch of neighborly folks, polo shirts tucked in, passing out newsletters about block parties and dog poop, arguing about who gets to bring potato salad. That was before I learned there's two types of HOAs in this world, the quiet ones and the ones that run their neighborhood like it's North Korea with matching fanny packs. Guess which one I lived in? 15 years of fines if a single blade of grass tried to be different. Written warnings typed sealed official because my flag was 3 inches too long, because my granddaughter chalked a hopscotch square on the sidewalk, because my trash bins were out too long, because my truck looked commercial. It was death by 1,000 yellow letters. After my wife passed, those letters felt heavier. Arguing about mailbox heights or whether my shutters were neutral sand or warm beige just made me tired in my bones. I wanted a place to drink coffee, fix a lawnmower, grill burgers for my grandkids. No HOA, street monarch quoting Article 6, subsection B. So when I finally left, I swore never again. That became my one rule: no HOA ever. My real estate agent probably aged 10 years trying to find something that fit. Every time she showed me a listing, I'd ask, "Is there an HOA?" If yes, didn't matter. If the house came with a gold mine, I was out. Then one morning she called voice, all giddy, said she'd found it. Non-HOA, quiet street, old trees, the plat map said, outside any jurisdiction. I didn't even need coffee to jump in the truck. House was perfect. Solid brick end of the cul-de-sac, wraparound porch that seemed to say, sit, stay a while. Every deed, every zoning map, every county record said the same, NOHOA. I could have hugged the county clerk. Move-in weekend was the happiest I'd been in years. My kids, my grandkids, even Mark from the old place drove down to help move my workbench. My granddaughter drew a heart on the floor in pizza grease, and for once nobody threatened to find me. My daughter said, "You finally made it home." And I believed her. I should have noticed the woman down the street, clipboard in hand, standing just a bit too long watching the moving trucks. At the time, I figured she was just nosy, maybe waiting on her own Amazon delivery, nothing special. Next morning, I'm out with coffee, proud of my Kingdom Yard driveway porch, all finally mine. I grab some tools, head to the side yard to mark out a new garden border. Nothing fancy. No HOA to say a word about it. That's when I hear a car creeping up, slow, predatory. Black SUV, tinted windows, chrome trim. The kind of ride for people who think rules are just for other folks. It stops at my driveway, and out steps clipboard lady, heels clicking, pastel blazer hair sprayed into submission. She smiles that I'm about to take your lunch money kind of smile. "Good morning, I'm Karen Miller, president of Maple Grove Estates Homeowners Association." For a second, I really wondered if she had the wrong street. I told her politely, "This property isn't part of an HOA." She just blinked slow as cold molasses, then told me, "Actually, your driveway falls within Maple Grove boundaries. You're required to submit a residency application and get approval for community common areas." That's how my own driveway and lawn became common areas. I kept my cool. My deed says I'm not part of an HOA. She says deeds take time to update. Meanwhile, we enforce boundaries as recognized by the association. Then she accused me of occupying HOA managed land, couldn't make it up if I tried. I said, so I'm trespassing on my own property. She just smiled. You're not permitted to modify the yard or driveway until we review your application. That's when I felt the first flicker of anger. I'd finally escaped HOA hell, and here was a new HOA, one I never joined, trying to annex my life. Karen didn't back down. She stood there, heels on the edge of my driveway, clipboard held like a shield. I took a deep breath. My late wife always said, breathe before you bark. I told her again, there's been a mistake. This house never was part of an HOA. She just tapped her clipboard. As of last year's amendment, this street falls under Maple Grove oversight. I'd been polite enough. I checked county records, the real ones. She said, you're required to cooperate while boundary clarifications are resolved. I couldn't help but laugh, a tired, bitter laugh. So what am I being accused of exactly? She smiled sharper. Trespassing. Now, being accused of stealing or lying is one thing, but trespassing on my own porch, that takes the cake. You're kidding. She said, I'm quite serious. Until I submitted a residency application, I wasn't allowed to utilize association land. I pointed at the ground at my own lawn. This, yes. And the walkway. Correct. So if I ask you to leave, wouldn't you be the trespasser? She said, HOA board members are exempt during compliance evaluation. That's when I realized who I was dealing with, someone who thought a clipboard was divine authority. I'm not a member. You have no jurisdiction. Please leave my property. That's when the mask dropped. If you continue to occupy HOA property, this will become a legal issue, and those can be costly. She even pointed out that I live alone, said it like a threat. I stepped closer, quiet but clear. Don't ever suggest something like that again. And don't ever come onto my property without an invitation. She just looked amused. One day you'll wish you'd cooperated. Then she parked herself across the street in that SUV, just sitting watching like a cat outside a mouse hole. I tried to ignore her. I lasted 30 minutes. I walked over, tapped on her window, told her to move. She grinned, told me to call the police if I had a problem. So I did. 911. The dispatcher sounded half-bored. HOA drama, but sent an officer. Karen slipped away before they arrived, leaving tire marks and a cloud of entitlement. The younger officer shrugged. Sir, we get a lot of this. HO as overreach. We'll file a report, but unless she comes back or damages property, not much we can do. These things end up civil. I watched their cruiser leave, feeling the first hint of a coming storm. The next morning there was an envelope slid under my door, neat handwriting, no postage. Maple Grove Estates formal notice. You are currently occupying HOA managed land. Demanded I stop using my own driveway lawn mailbox. Threatened daily fines for non-compliance. I laughed a little too loud maybe, but it stuck in my craw. That buzzing, can't relax feeling. I noticed a man walking by, snapping photos of my lawn. Compliance team, he called it. I told him to leave. That afternoon my phone buzzed. You can't ignore us. Deleted the message but kept the number. 3 days of this. Joggers who didn't jog. Dog walkers who stopped too long. Black SUVs cruising by. Karen waving. They wanted me to know I was being watched. 4th day, I'm trimming hedges, and 2 police officers walk up with Karen leaning against her SUV, smiling like she'd summoned backup. They say there's a boundary dispute. Maybe my property is on HOA easement. I showed them the deed, every document. Karen says I'm hostile. The officers check my paperwork, agree there's a dispute, but tell Karen to step off my property. She hisses, this isn't over, peels out in her SUV. I stood there, porch railing in a death grip, knowing she was right. The pressure, the feeling of being hunted, it was more than frustration now. Then came Greg, neighbor 3 houses down, classic suburban dad. He quietly tells me Karen's been trying to annex this end of the street for years. Keeps filing fake plat maps, harassing holdouts till they move, then selling their houses to some investment group that magically joins the HOA. Greg got targeted too. Mailbox, non-compliance, noise, parking, you name it. 2 families left tired of the harassment. Greg warns me Karen likes to break people. She's picking on me because I'm new, and I said no to her face. He walks me around, shows me the cameras, the signs, properties under review. It's a power grab. I ask, why me? Because you said no and she can't stand that. He tells me to document everything, install cameras. Karen hates being watched. Most folks are too worn out to fight. But maybe, just maybe, I'm the one to finally push back. That night I dug through every record I owned, deed plat county maps. My property lines were clear. Karen's map, new lines, fake borders, no county stamp, just a printout with red ink. The next day I drove to the county office, asked for official plats. The clerk said Maple Grove tried to amend boundaries last year, but it was rejected. Never approved, never resubmitted. Next I found myself in a lawyer's office, Cindy Han, the bulldog of county property law. She looked over the documents, smirked, and said, "Karen's not just wrong, she's possibly breaking the law." Called it constructive annexation, HO as faking maps, bullying until people just give up. Cindy told me to install cameras, keep every letter file a formal complaint for harassment, extortion, false claims. So I did. Cameras everywhere, porch, garage, street. That evening a black SUV rolled by again slow. I waved. They sped off. Someone walked by pretending to jog, stretching in front of my yard. I waved again. The power had shifted. The next morning another letter in my mailbox, no stamp. Final notice of trespassing. Immediate action required. 2 pages of threats including physical removal. That's when I forwarded everything to Cindy. She called me, said this was criminal intimidation, that Karen was crossing lines. Told me not to engage, just keep documenting. Sure enough, that afternoon my doorbell rang. 2 muscle-bound guys, black polos with HOA logos, flanking Karen with her clipboard. She said they were there to conduct a compliance inspection. One guy muttered, "Over your dead body." I called the sheriff. Deputies arrived, real cops, no nonsense. Karen tried her usual routine. The deputy cut her off, told her and her officers to leave. "This is private property. HOA has no jurisdiction." Karen turned white but threatened, "This isn't over." When they left, the street finally fell quiet. But I knew Karen wasn't done. I uploaded the video evidence, ready for the next round. Then Cindy called with real news. The county had turned over documents. Karen had forged signatures and fake amendment proposals, even created a shell company, Pine Ridge Resources, funneling money to herself. It was bigger than me. This was criminal. I filed complaints with the county attorney, the sheriff, the DA. Cindy told me, "Get ready, Karen will panic." That night, Karen screeched up my driveway, wild, clutching papers, screaming that I was ruining her. I told her calmly, "I just filed complaints. You're the one who tried to drag me into an HOA I don't belong to." She lost it, threatened me, accused me of lying. I pointed at the camera, told her everything was documented. That's when the sheriff cruisers arrived. Deputies led her away, wailing, "I make the rules." The deputy shook his head. "Ma'am, the law makes the rules." After that, peace returned. Karen was removed from the HOA, her boundary proposals frozen, her shell company exposed. Neighbors who'd been bullied came forward. Some cried, most just said thank you, not because I was special, just because I said no. That's what I learned: bullies only win if you let them. You don't have to be young or strong or loud. You just have to refuse to surrender. If you've ever faced a Karen, an HOA tyrant, or any bully, share your story. Don't let them wear you down. Sometimes the only thing you need is one person who says, "No more." What would you have done in my shoes? Do you think justice was served? Drop your story. Let's see how many of us have walked the same road.